You think refrigeration is the box in your kitchen. It isn't. Between the farm and that box, there is an unbroken chain of refrigerated warehouses, trucks, shipping containers, and display cases, and if a single link goes warm for a few hours, the food inside is garbage. It has a name, the cold chain, and most people have never heard it. So how much food does the world actually lose? Roughly a third. About 13% disappears between harvest and retail, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, and a further 19% of the food that does reach people is wasted at retail, in restaurants, and in homes. And here's the part that matters. The Food and Agriculture Organization and the United Nations Environment Program have estimated that over 10% of global food production is lost simply because it never reaches refrigeration at all. Now look in your supermarket: blueberries from Peru, salmon from Norway, beef from Australia. None of that is normal. All of it is normal because of one boring steel box, the refrigerated container, which everyone in shipping just calls a reefer. It quietly rewired what the entire planet eats. A reefer is not a cool box. It is a self-contained fridge with its own compressor, and it needs to be plugged in on every single leg of the trip: the truck, the yard, the ship's power deck, the next yard. It is tracked the whole way. The cargo isn't the fruit. The cargo is a temperature, and the fruit is just what happens to be inside it. For about a year, this invisible system became front-page news. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine initially demanded ultra-cold storage, around -70 degrees Celsius. Suddenly, there were freezer farms, dry ice shortages, and hospital administrators learning words they'd never needed before. And here's where almost everyone got the lesson wrong. That -70 was never a property of mRNA vaccines as a class. Moderna's mRNA vaccine needed only about -20. The real revelation wasn't the chemistry. It was how thin, ultra-cold logistics turned out to be anywhere outside the rich world. Forget the pandemic for a second. Routine childhood immunization runs on the same fragile chain every day. The World Health Organization estimates meaningful shares of vaccines are wasted, and cold chain failures are a persistent culprit in hard-to-reach regions. A warm truck, a power cut, an icebox that froze the vials too hard. That's it. That's how a vaccine dies. So what does it cost to hold the whole planet cold? Cooling, buildings, and cold chain together already eats a significant share of global electricity. And as hot countries get richer and the weather gets hotter, refrigeration demand is projected to multiply by the middle of this century. We are not talking about a rounding error on the grid. Then there's what's actually inside the pipes. Common hydrofluorocarbon refrigerants are potent greenhouse gases when they leak thousands of times the warming of carbon dioxide, kilogram for kilogram. That's why the Kigali Amendment is forcing a global phase-down while the industry scrambles for alternatives that are both safe and cold. And the chain gets stress-tested in public every summer. Refrigerated trucks and warehouse units were specified for milder ambient temperatures. During extreme heat events, they run past their ratings, and food safety incidents spike. That is a climate adaptation crisis, and it's hiding inside logistics where nobody photographs it. If you want the clearest case, look at India. It is one of the world's largest producers of fruit and vegetables, and it loses a huge share of that harvest after picking. Building out rural cold storage, much of it now solar-powered, turns out to be one of the highest return development investments anyone has ever measured. No new farmland, no new seeds, just cold earlier in the chain. And it's a single point of failure exactly when you can least afford one. Hurricanes and grid failures kill the cold chain at the precise moment people need food and medicine most, which is why hospitals and pharmacies rank backup refrigeration power alongside oxygen supply in disaster planning. Here's my take. This is what infrastructure looks like in the 21st century. Not a bridge you can photograph, but a temperature that must never be wrong, held continuously, everywhere, forever. We built our food and our medicine on the assumption that cold is always available. Cheap cold is a miracle we stopped noticing, and the bill, in energy, in leaked refrigerant, in sheer fragility, is landing right as the planet turns the thermostat up. I'm Erica. Next time your fridge hums, that's the smallest link in the chain.